All right. So when somebody is not in the real estate field, not in the real estate industry as a practitioner, as somebody on the trenches, it's somebody buying and selling houses and looking at stats all day long, do they get proper insight and understanding about what's really happening in the real estate market? This is our episode topic of today's real estate chat with Robert Eat
and John Perez.
All right. So what prompted this? I'm going to load on screen here. Robert, you sent me this. This was a FP post haste email that you've subscribed to, and take us through this and what prompted this idea for our current episode.
Post haste comes out every day, and it's a summary of interesting articles that are referenced, summarized, and then there's always a link to it that's put out by a lady at the Financial Post. And sometimes I don't like it, other times I like it. This time I like it because there was interesting statistics. That's the Desjardins came up with the one that you're looking at there, number 6. Now, we can talk about this in a different context because, and then also the one from the Royal Bank, which is our friend Robert Hogue, who came up with the common year as a percentage comparing the peaks that we, instead of it being a national and quarterly, we made it Toronto and monthly and not adjusted data, but real data. So we have to give him some credit for coming up with that idea. However, in concept, these people who are not in our business, but are representing the best interest of the stock and bond business, always put out articles that are negative towards real estate because their whole objective is to keep investors from giving their money to real estate. It's bad, it's going to go down another 20%, and give it to them. That's their whole job. Now, the Financial Post is also an institution that is backing, pushing, delighting in the stock and bond business, not the real estate business. So they put articles from these economists, economists important, that back up the basic position of the newspaper, which is give your money to the stock and bond boys, not to real estate. But people don't like that because they don't understand the stock market. They don't see how it can go down 25% and then go back up again. They don't understand how the interrelation between bonds and stocks and risk on, risk off. They just don't understand. However, we get a snippet of it, goes in the news, goes in the CTV, and they say, real estate predicted to go down another 29% because of somebody with an agenda. Now, all of these articles talk about the pandemic. This is not what happened. We had a low rate lockdown, 2 things at once. Maybe the lockdown came first, but the low rates is what caused the whole mess in the real estate business. The guy comes along and says long for a long time. People relied on that, but then they changed the story. We have a spec market component of the real estate industry that you can never get away with it. Non-owner occupant buyers. There's a place for them. But this is really a business for owner occupied. A house, a place to live, a community, the people there, and a long-term investment so that when you've retired, you've paid off 20 years worth of mortgage, 25 years worth of mortgage, you own the place. It's forced saving. We know about the writers, why they're doing it. We know what the economists are doing it. But do they know what they're talking about? No. They here's an idea, and they pick a statistic that is their statistic. For example, Mr. Hogue, he picks the Royal LePage seasonally adjusted HPI as his basis for conclusions based on what he saw in the past, because it's his. He feels it's pure data. We look at only Toronto. We don't look at national in our little broadcast because we know Toronto. In the last little while, we've discovered that there's a difference between 416, the telephone district area code, and 905, which is actually 35 different communities. And they behave differently for a reason. They behave differently because of spec buyers. And the spec buyers behaved based on interest rates that were really intended to stimulate activity. So who are these people that are doing the policy changes that stimulate activity by reducing interest rates to ridiculous level that are unsustainable and then not taking any responsibility for it? Well, Tiffany Macklem is the guy. He should be fired. We can't say too much about him. Now, some of these articles use percentages based on December price from 2019. As we talked a couple of episodes ago, that's not when the market started. The market started in 2014, 2015. and it cooled out with the interventions in 2017. And then interest rates came down and it started up again. It's a cycle. It's a cycle based on stimulate, withdraw stimulation, with stimulate, withdraw stimulation. Government is trying to manage the real estate housing industry. They say they think they understand it, but they don't. Economists don't. These economists are people who learned in school 20 years ago. Now they've been promoted to be the boss, and they have a few pet theories of how everything works and a few pet ways of calculating, and they just apply those pet theories to everything, and it doesn't necessarily apply. Again, when you're using statistics, you pick a starting point, you pick an end point. The end point is now, so you can't pick that, but you pick a starting point, and that influences how your statistics all run. That's why we take a 10-year view when we're talking about things that most people talk about one.
And so basically you're saying, Robert, that these statistics can be not necessarily manipulated, but they can be composed to show whatever somebody who wants to show it shows. And that's the biggest difference with real estate chat. I mean, if you look at our statistics, if you look at Robert's charts and data, we span back to as far as we can go because we want to put things into context. It's easy to say that the market and the sky is falling if you're looking at February 2022 as your peak and your starting point. But if you go back to 2017, and let's say you're sitting at 2017 and 2018, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23 hasn't happened yet, you would have thought the sky was falling in March of 2017.
And
so and it did. And then it went back up even higher than the sky, and it dropped even more. So Robert, I guess to put to our audience here at Real Estate Chat who have clicked subscribe and who like this video, and for those who are real estate haters who dislike this video, that's okay too. You're more than welcome to join part of the discussion because that's what we love. We love your comments, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart, and Robert means that too. Somebody looking into this market and being speculative, well, no, sorry, not speculative, being very critical about what real estate agents are saying, whether they're on social media, making their TikTok dance moves or whatever have you, announcing the interest rate announcements. What kind of intelligence does somebody watching this need to discern and to pull from everything being presented to them by the stock, the pro stock, invest in us, invest in these funds, invest in that, the realtors who are, they thrive on selling real estate. And so many real estate haters say, yeah, you guys need to sell real estate. You need your commission. That's why you're pushing this. Meanwhile, all you have to do is pull from the 1960s, 1970s, and then tell us we're wrong that real estate doesn't go up in the long term because of a basic principle of the fact that it's inflationary. So somebody watching this who's a critic of real estate, Robert, what should they consider?
You hit it. Interest rates and inflation. That prices have an inverse relationship to interest rates. They will always go up a little bit because inflation is always with us. Now, inflation means the decreased purchasing power of the Canadian dollar. They're undermining it a little bit, 2%, but 2% means it goes 25% in 11 years. And that is how the government has intended to get out of the debt crisis that they have. Because if you devalue, you're paying it off with devalued dollars is what it boils down to. Now, interest rates are not going to go down to 2% again. So if you're a buyer, you have to wait for interest rates to go down, let's say 2% from where they are now. And when they do, prices will go up again. Now, in the meantime, you will have missed some excellent properties that you can refinance them when the interest rates go down. If you buy them now, then you will own them and you can refinance them, as I say, when the rates go down again. We've got a hurdle that we're going to have to go through. Some people are not going to be buying that because they just got hurt in the last 2 years. So that's fine. If you are trying to find a place to live for your family, with schools nearby, with transportation, so you can get to work and get to church and whatever you do 5 times a month, then just start looking and look very carefully. If you're a seller, decide what you're going to do with the money. If you're going to put it in the bank, well, maybe you want to stay where you are now because prices will go down, but then they'll go up again. Maybe that's not right for you. You have to decide. The interest rates are going to be where they are. They're going to go up a little bit more. Okay, he's going to come up with a conditional pause. We had to lift it because of this terrible thing on unemployment or whatever the heck it is. They're going to do that. They're going to betray you again. Okay, the conditional pause will be betrayed just like low for a long time. Anyway, so what's the summary? Is do what's good for you individually. Never mind what the whole market's doing. Just never mind. If you don't like the payments now, find someone who will finance it for you, like the private individual. You know what the banks are going to do. They're going to give you the same rate all over the place. So I don't know whether that's a summary or not.
It's
But
good. I mean, if you don't like real estate, then invest in stocks and see where that goes. If you like,
exactly.
if you like real estate, invest in real estate. Do both if you want, but as Robert said, do what's right for you. And on that note, thank you so much for watching this episode of Real Estate Chat. Many, 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 many more chats are in store. And click on like, click dislike if you don't like it, click subscribe. But either way, leave us your comment. We'd love to hear from you, what your questions are, what your thoughts are about the real estate market, what you like, what you don't like about it. And any questions you have for Robert and I, we are here to answer it. Make sure you read Robert's blog at www.unclebobexplains.com. Thanks for joining this episode of Real Estate Chat. Robert,
See you later.
bye for now.
Bye-bye.